ഇവിടെ വരണ്ട വന്ന ശരി ഇല്ലേ? ഈശ്വരോ ഗുരുരാത്മേതി മൂർത്തിഭേദവിഭാഗിനെ വ്യോമവദ്വ്യാപ്തദേഹായ ദക്ഷിണാമൂർത്തയേ നമഃ. Today we will completely cover all the Indra Suktas from Gritsamada Bhargava. Om Suktam 18 Chandasis Trushtu Prataratho Navo Yoji 2.18.1. In the early morning, this vehicle of time, or the wheel of the sun, having 4 yugas, 3 types of movement, 7 rays and 10 spokes, and which is the creator of human happiness, is to be described by this new hymn, which is put together with devotion. It is worthy of being heard everywhere. Time is divided into 4 yugas, Krita, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. The 3 time periods are past, present and future. 7 rays can be 7 days of the week. 10 spokes of the time wheel is not clear. Incidentally, year was divided into 10 months in very ancient times. Time ushers in birth and death. Time ushers in birth and death, or happiness and sorrow. Some more details of time are given in this sukta. 2.18.2. Sasma Aram Prathamam. This vehicle was sufficient for Indra in the first period, namely the past. That is sufficient in the second period, now, present, and also in the third, future. That becomes the sacrificer of human beings. Others generate offsprings of the sky and of other things, creatures or material forms. Showerer of rains who takes people to the path of success is approached by others. Indra, the manifested self, controls this time wheel for the creation process as well as for the existence and destruction of material forms. All activities of human beings are scheduled as per this time base. Objects of the sky, of the earth, of water, etc. are created by Indra, the manifested self. Persons desirous of knowing the truth invoke Indra. We go to the next break, 18.3. Harinukam Ratha Indrasya. In the chariot of Indra, I yoke the 2 rays, 2 spiritual rays, physical strength and knowledge, or existence, Sat, and consciousness, Chit, by new Vedic hymns for securing happiness. Here many intelligent people are present. Others who are not so well versed in conducting sacrifices may not delight Indra as much. The Rik means the following. In this congregation or knowledge sacrifice, many learned men are present. The seer of the Sukta is chanting aloud this hymn on Indra, who moves in a vehicle drawn by 2 horses, namely strength and knowledge, or existence and consciousness. Strength represents gross power and knowledge signifies spiritual power. Performers of gross sacrifices may not delight in Indra as much as knowledge sacrificers. 2.18.4. Dvabhyam Haribhyam Indra. This hymn, O Indra, invoked by us, you please come towards the sacrificers with double, 4, 6, 8 and 10 power plants or horses, for drinking this extracted Soma essence. O performer of good sacrifices, please do not neglect this extracted essence, namely this hymn, which is essentially a product of creation of the subtle type, is caused or inspired by Indra or the manifested self. May Indra come to hear this new hymn speedily. Number of horses are indicative of speed. Theoretically, power is proportional to cube of the speed, which means that when speed is doubled, power has to increase 8 times. The same idea of increasing horsepower of the vehicle to achieve greater speeds is continued in the next torus. Obviously, 1 horse stands for 1 horsepower. Spiritually, horse stands for ray of spiritual light. May Indra come with more and more rays of spiritual light is the meaning. 2.18.5 Avimshatya Trimshata. O Indra, with the intention of drinking the extracted Soma essence, grass, subtle or spiritual, please come towards us by good vehicles yoking 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and 70 horses or race. By increasing horsepower or number of horses 64 times, the speed increases 4 times. No further explanation is necessary on this. 2.18.6 Ashitya Navatya Ya Harvang A. 2.18.6 O Indra, carried by 80, 90 and 100 horses or rays or engines, please come towards us, because in these oblation offering sacrifices, this extracted Soma essence is being poured out for you, for your delight. No comments on this. 18.7 Mama Dhamendra. O Indra, please come towards my Vedic hymns. Let all the horses or engines of so many horsepowers or spiritual rays be held in or attached to the yoke of your chariot. Invoked by many, you have become acceptable by various ways. O brave Indra, may you delight in this sacrifice. The seer of the Sukta is glorifying Indra by this hymn. To hear this, may Indra come in all speed. Or with full power. Though this is only one of the many hymns in honor of Indra, may he be delighted with it. This is the wish of the seer of the Sukta. 18.8 Nama Indrena Sakhyam Vi. May my friendship with Indra never diminish. May his gift to us yield knowledge. May we be established in the preeminent, most excellent light of knowledge. May we become victorious in that inevitably beautiful one. Delighted by this hymn, may Indra or the manifested self reveal more knowledge and ultimately the supreme knowledge. May the seer be established in the self, attaining oneness with the self is the victory that seer of the Sukta is having on his mind. 2.18.9 is the last ruk in the Sukta. Nunam Sate Prativaram. This is the same as 2.11.21. We go to the next Sukta, next Indra Sukta, Suktam 19, from sage Gritsamada. Chandas of this Suktam is Drushto. Apayasya Anthaso. Apayasyan Anthaso. 2.19.1 Indra the sun, coming up in this world and growing, upholds the dwelling places in glaring light for all living creatures. Desirous of much wealth, the leaders of man too produce fine qualities of food grains that give much delight to all. Indra, the manifested self, or Ishvara, appears as the sun and illuminates the solar world with his brilliant rays of physical or gross light. He abhors the earth, which serves as a dwelling place for all living creatures. Learned persons, desirous of happiness, produce all sorts of food grains or hymns in the subtle sense that give delight to them. Asya Mandano Matbho 2.19.2. Delighted by the sweet essence with hand-like rays of light, Indra smashes the cloud which is full of water particles. Then the pleasing flowing water particles of the rivers start flowing towards the oceans as birds fly towards their nests. Delighted by the products that she has created already, namely the space and the earth, Indra creates next three other forms of matter: air, energy and water. This is described in this book. Making use of energy and air, water is produced as described here. Water falling on the earth flows through rivulets and rivers, finally ending up in the oceans, which serves as the main source of water on the earth. 2.19.3. Samahina Indro Arno. The great smasher of the cloud, Indra, causes the water particles in the atmosphere flow towards the oceans in a regular way. He created the sun. He founded the earth. By rays of physical light, he accomplishes the illumination of the world during the day. Creation of energy, water and earth is talked about in this book also. Nothing more need be said on this book. 2.19.4. So, Apratini Manave, that Indra gives many unattainable wealth to an intelligent sacrificer. He becomes a constant benefactor for those persons who are competing each other in the light of the sun or Indra for acquiring wealth. To a person meditating on the self or Indra, he gives knowledge, self-knowledge or knowledge of the self. In the light of the sun may imply in the delight of self-knowledge, and constant benefactor means inspiring Jivatma. 2.19.5. Sa Sunvata Indra Suryama, praised by the oblations offering human beings, that resplendent Indra illuminates the sun or gives existence to the sun. That brilliant Lord procured for us that hidden wealth as a father gives the son his share. Human beings offer three types of oblations to Indra. The gross or physical oblations are food articles offered to a sacrificial fire. This is the Karmana type. Hymns offered as oblations constitute the Vacha type of sacrifice. In the third type, Manasa, the mind itself is offered as oblation. The sun illuminates gross objects for other living creatures and human beings. For the meditating sacrificer, Indra bestows knowledge of the self, which is the so-called hidden wealth. The self is the one that is said to reside in the heart space, keeping the heart of a man beat all the time. That one is eternal, imperishable, is all-pervading and is unborn. He is the father of the universe. Indra shares the knowledge of the self with the meditating sacrificer as though he is his son. 2.19.6. Sa Randhayat Sadiva, that Indra, endowed with brilliant light, accomplished as well the destruction of the voracious, howling and abusing man for his companion, namely lightning. Indra demolished 99 fortresses of the cloud for the giver of light. The howling and abusing men stand for clouds, and the fortresses are cloud formations which look like impregnable fortresses. Giver of light may mean the sun. If cloud is taken as ignorance, the giver of light is the self itself. 2.19.7 Evata Indro. O Indra, desirous of knowledge and strength, we shall make on our own truthful hymns about you. Acting quickly, we shall attain that sevenfold brilliance. May you down the weapons of those who are abusers of Indra and or the manifested self. The seer of the Sukta is hoping to please Indra with truthful, auspicious Vedic hymns. Sevenfold brilliance can be objectless knowledge, objective knowledge, and physical wealth consisting of dwelling, food, strength, happiness, and progeny. Or alternately, brilliance associated with 5 sense organs, the mind and ego. 2.19.8 Eva te grutsamada shura. O brave Indra, like seekers of protection, drawing abundant happiness, we prepare these bright hymns for you only. May we, the desirers of new hymns for you, obtain good dwellings, food, strength, and happiness. This needs no additional elaboration. 2.19.9 Nunam Sate Pradivaram, same as 2.11.21. We go to another Indra Sukta, Suktam 20. From same Rishi sage Grutsamada, Chandas here is Trushtup and Virat Rupa. Vayam te vaya Indra vidhi. 2.20.1 O Indra, desirous of speech, we shall prepare oblations for you like a person preparing a chariot. Please know us nicely. We act in accordance with well-established practices. We honor you with our wisdom. May leaders like you bring happiness to us. This is just by way of introduction to the Sukta, indicating the fact that the seer of the Sukta is going to talk about Indra here. Otherwise, this needs not much of an elaboration. 2.20.2 Tvamma Indra Tvabhirudi. O Indra, by your protective powers, you become the protector of the people inclined to you. Whoever approaches you, you become the lord and protector of that invoker and also giver of excellent knowledge. Indra protects them who are devoted to him. He becomes the leader of the self. As Jivatma, Indra is his protector. Excellent intelligence implies knowledge of the self. 20.3 Sano Yuvendro. Indra, who is ever youthful, is giver of immense wealth, is a friend, is auspicious, and is our protector, as well as of all leaders of men. By his own protective power, he leads along the righteous path, a praiser, a performer of sacrifice, a preparer of food, and a chanter of Vedic hymns. The virtues attributed to Indra in this circle are quite well known. Different types of sacrificers are listed here. All of them are inspired by their Jivatmas or the universal Jivatma Indra. They finally attain the self because the Jivatmas are non-different from the self. The soul enters the body in the embryo stage and leaves it at its death. 2.20.4 Tamustu Stusha Indram Tam Grinishe. In whom we grew strong and destroyed our enemies. May that Indra, who is desirous of hearing Vedic hymns, fulfill the noble desires for the wealth of the seers of the new hymns. We thus pray to him and praise him. In the presence of Jivatma, the mind and body of the sacrificers grew strong to resist evil temptations. May that Indra stay with the body of the sacrificers long enough to enable them to secure their noble desire, knowledge of the self. This is the gist of the Rik. 2.20.5. So, Angirasam Ujatha, accepting the praiseworthy hymns of the ancient sages, that Indra, looking all around the earth, increases the wealth. Praised by the worshippers, he overcomes the dawns through the sun. He is the one who destroys the ancient strongholds of the clouds. Ancient sages attributed creation of the material universe to Indra in their Vedic hymns. Thus he becomes the creator of earth and all material wealth on the earth. He creates the sun. With energy of the sun and air, water-bearing clouds are formed. Breaking the clouds, Indra produces rainwater. These activities of Indra are mentioned in the Rik. 2.20.6 Saha Sruta Indro Nama. That reputed brilliant Indra became remover grievances and superior ruler of all human beings. May the tolerant, powerful and rich Indra bring down the beloved head of the malicious brute. Considering Indra as a shining being, the Rik is interpreted as stated above. However, in all these Riks, the cloud may stand for ignorance and Indra symbolizes the self spiritually. Wicked enemies, etc. are evil forces within one's own mind, and these thoughts distract the mind away from the righteous path. Savrutrahendra 20.7 Killer of the cloud and destroyer of fortresses of the cloud, Indra destroys malicious people born from evil wombs. For intelligent men, he created the earth and the water. May he always increase the hymns of the praising sacrifices. Krishna Yoni may mean evil or dark womb, where dark stands for ignorance. When Krishna Yoni Dasi can be interpreted as malicious thoughts born out of ignorance, which Indra Jivatma destroys. In this way, the Rik carries a much deeper meaning than the one given in the overall meaning. However, superficial meaning given earlier is easily comprehensible. 20.8 Tasmai Tavasya. In order to acquire water to that Indra is given at all times the strength increasing oblations by the enlightened souls. When these give Indra the strength to hold the destructive weapon Vajra in his hands, overcoming the malicious forces, she destroys their citadels altogether. In order to acquire self-knowledge, Indra is meditated on or sacrifice is performed giving the mind or ego as oblation, manasa. When the time is ripe, the self reveals the light of knowledge to him, which brings down the layers of ignorance covering the self. This is the implied meaning of the ruk. 20.9, the last ruk in the sukta, Nunam sate pradivaram, same as 2.11. 21. It is to be mentioned here that these suktas from sage Gritsamada is in praise of Indra. Presumably, they may carry a much deeper meaning than the superficial meanings given earlier. Vedic scholars may interpret these suktas considering Indra to be the sun, Jivatma, etc. But he symbolizes Supreme Self, that self residing in different bodies. Grahas are subtle, gives them existence, consciousness and bliss. Sat Chit Anandam Brahma. Egam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. This is the essence of Rigveda, which every seer wants to convey to mankind. Another suktam, suktam 21 from Gritsamada, Chandas is Jagati and Trushto. Vishwajite Dhanajite Swarjite 21.1. For Indra, who is the conqueror of all, conqueror of wealth, of ego, of truth, of leaders of men, of the earth, which is the home of all the plant kingdom, of horses, of cows and of water, and who is worshipworthy. O sacrificers, please prepare beautiful extracted spiritual Sama essence. All the ruks in the sukta recount different virtues and noble deeds of Indra, which have been dealt with some time or other in earlier suktas. This ruk is addressed to the sacrificers, urging them to praise Indra or to talk about him and his attributes. Many of his achievements are listed here. They have already been explained before. Conqueror of ego implies destroyer of ignorance of the self. 21.2. Abhibhuve, O sacrificers, pay respect by auspicious hymns to Indra. He is the destroyer and smasher of enemies. He is the distinguisher between truth and unreality. He is intolerable of enemies. He is intelligent. He is creator of the universe. He is exhorter of people to lead a better life. He is bearer of all. He is not bypassed by wicked men, and he is irresistible. All attributes of Indra listed in this ruk are self-explanatory. 2.21.3. Satrasaho Janabhaksho. I recite the heroic deeds of Indra, who is irresistible. He is served by people. He is vanquisher of people. He is smasher of the wicked. He is a warrior. He is immersed in delight. He is collector of army. He is tolerant and is protector of people. Seer of the Sukta is setting it is an example for the other sacrifices by reciting the different virtues of Indra listed in this ruk. As they have been dealt with earlier, no further explanation is given here. Ananudo Vrishabho. Indra is not moved by emotions, is showerer of happiness, is the annihilator of marauders, is serious by nature, is sublime, is of unobtainable wisdom, is the remover of hurdles, He is the punisher of the wicked. He is strong and hard. He is dexterous and is performer of grand sacrifices. He created the dawns and the sun. Some more virtues of Indra are mentioned here. 2.21.5 Yajnena Gadum Apaturo. Enhancing their intelligence, the wise seekers of the self by sacrifice got the earth from active Indra for their dwelling. Desirous of protection through enhanced speech in honor of Indra, they obtained wealth of speech which brings knowledge from all sides and which are sung regularly in all sacrifices. Earth is one of the basic forms of matter manifesting on account of spiritual light of the self. But for making ordinary men to understand the origin of the universe, learned persons invented an imaginary shining being, Indra, and creation of the universe was attributed to him. He creates the basic forms of matter, and all objects in the universe are made up of these 5 basic forms. Earth becomes the home of all creatures. 2.21.6 Indra Shreshthani Dravinani. O Indra, please help us to get righteous wealth, strength of knowledge, the best prosperity, increase of wealth already available, protection of the body, sweet speech, and good days all through the life. This is just a simple prayer addressed to Indra which needs no explanation. We go to the last Indra Sukta for the day. Suktam 22, Gritsamada. Again, sage, Chandas Ashti, Adishakwari. Va. Trikadrukeshu Mahisho Yavashiram 22.1. Indra is great, is very mighty, with satisfaction in his 3-way movements, and is abounding in grains. He drinks the extracted or spiritual Soma essence as desired by the Creator. May this expansive great time delight him, who is the performer of great and noble deeds. May the really shining Atmiya Soma combine with this effectually resplendent Indra, who symbolizes truth. All the ruks in this sukta contain a deeper or implied meaning than the one given above. Implied meaning of this ruk is as following. Here Indra and Vishnu can be thought of as representing the manifested self and the unmanifested self respectively. The manifested self in living beings have 3-fold movements in causal, subtle and gross worlds. The witnessing self Vishnu desires that the performing self Indra enjoys the products of creation. This hymn is in praise of that performing self Indra. He is shining only through the flowing essence of Atma Soma. Hence, Indra is said to combine with Vishnu, the self-resplendent one, and reside in the heart space of human bodies. The last part of the ruk is repeated in the next 2 more ruks. Two point 20. 22.2 Adha Tavishimang Abhyojasa. Then he, shining and mighty because of his power, satisfies himself with his onslaught, the atmosphere and the earth, which is like a well. He grows well on the strength given by Atmiya Soma, whose one part gets established in the stomach of Indra, appearing as Jivatmas in living beings, and another part he sets free for the shining beings. May the really shining spiritual Soma combine with this effectually resplendent Indra, who symbolizes truth. Indra, the manifested self, creates the space, atmospheric air, water, and the earth. This glory of his grows because of spiritual rays of the self bestowing existence to them through Atmiya Bhavamana Soma. Part of the Soma sits in Indra's stomach, giving Jivatma to living creatures, and another part becomes Jivatmas among imaginary shining beings. Both are Jivatmas which get their existence from the self or from Atmiya Bhavamana Soma. Sakam Jasa Kratuna 22.3 O Indra, you are born by sacrifice. You uphold the universe with your power. You grow up with heroes. You overcome enemies. You become the giver of desirable wealth and knowledge to enlighten invokers. May the really shining Atmiya Bhavamana Soma combine with this effectually resplendent Indra, who symbolizes truth. Concept of Indra as manifested self came about as a result of knowledge sacrifice of learned men by offering their minds as oblations or meditating on the self. Indra becomes the possessor of virtues that are attributed to him by those wise sages. The self reveals knowledge of the self. Indra is just a reflection of the self on the minds of these sages, like the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. Likewise, flowing essence of Atma, Soma, is a brainchild of the wise sages. The last slok in this sukta and for the day, 22.4. Tava Tyannaram Nurutopa. By the might of the self-resplendent one, who gives energy or vital pranas and also gives water, O controller of the universe Indra, these your excellent previously done deeds useful to mankind are being praised by enlightened persons. He gets through all non-luminous objects by his power. May that performer of hundreds of noble deeds give us strength and food or knowledge. Indra creates different forms of matter on the strength of the rays of the spiritual light supplied by Atmiya Bhavamana Soma. Indra's activities have been described in Vedic hymns by the seers of the Suktas from ancient times. The manifested self bestows existence on luminous and inert bodies. May the manifested form of the self create more and more objects in the universe for the benefit of mankind. This is the essence of the Ruk. This sukta may be fit enough to be included in Mandalam 9. This marks the end of Indra Suktas from Sage Grith Samada. And today's session we finish with this Ruk. Viramastavat